Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to You in Mind. My name's Maria from Barefoot Holistics, and these lives are set up to help people during lockdown, to help you through, the stress and stuff of lockdown. So today we've got a special guest from the UK, and a good friend of mine called Sarah, and I can never pronounce her name, Sarah Nurtcheylo.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? And Sarah calls herself a nature worker, and she connects people to nature. She's also an author and illustrates children's books. And she has her own forest school and is also a counsellor and psychotherapist. So let's all welcome Sarah to the chat.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Sarah. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hi, Simone. Simone's the first one on today. So it says there's 3 people on, but I can only see Simone.
Oh.
So, Sarah, thank you for joining us. And I know we keep pushing boundaries with everybody. I love it. I absolutely love it. Everyone's like, oh, I've not done this before. It's so scary. It's good. It's good. Push them boundaries. Like I said in the first one, the more we push our own boundaries, the more we're pushing out into the universe. Hi, George. Welcome. So, Sarah, let's hand it over to you. You want to tell us a little bit about what you do, what you're going to do with us today? Everybody grab a pen and paper as well for this exercise, what we're doing today.
Yeah.
I don't know if I put it in the event or not, but if you don't have a pen and paper with you, grab one.
Yeah, so while I'm chatting, just grab whatever you can. Okay, so I suppose the sort of work that I do is sort of 2 parts. Like Maria said, it's sort of nature work, so connecting people to nature, but also to their nature through nature. So originally I started the forest school and worked a lot with children, but more recently I've started developing a sort of wilderness wellbeing service. So there's that element of the work, but then there's also a different element, which is the writing and the story work. And the story work started very intuitively. So the stories just arrive. They're not, I don't sit for hours trying to make the stories up. Actually, the stories just tend to arrive. They're channeled stories, basically. And most of all of my stories are connected to places and nature. But originally, the stories started arriving when I started to work with children that had been suffering grief and loss. And I used to sit with the kids, and I just used to, stories would arrive, and I would tell the stories, and the stories were therapeutic, and they helped the children at the time, and a lot of the children were quite disengaged in our groups, and when the stories happened, they'd all just sit and listen. So I was like, oh, this is quite magical. So I started working with using stories therapeutically. And the way that happened was that I was right-handed, and the stories always arrive in my left hand. So I started dialoguing right hand to left hand. And what obviously I realised was that what was happening was I was connecting with that more spiritual part of myself.
Yeah.
So today I thought, that's enough of me. So I've gone on now to start developing therapeutic story workshops. So I thought what we'd do today is a little exercise. So one of the exercise that I've chosen is to try and to get you to connect with your writing, like do some left and right hand writing. But to do that, what we're going to do is do a little bit of an intro meditation that's going to connect us to a part of our child. So when we get there, So we're going to do the meditation, but when we meet that part that comes forward, we're going to ask some questions, but we're going to ask them using our pen and paper. So what we'll do is, because obviously once we're in there, I'm not going to mess around too much with pick up, you're going to write the question with your dominant hand, and you're going to answer the question with your other hand. So the writing might not be very good, but it will flow from your head. Even, you'll be able to read it afterwards, hopefully, or remember it. You'll remember it anyway, because we're only asking very basic questions. So if everybody's happy with that, I'm going to lead you in. We're not going to have music going because sometimes the music gets a bit distorted. So I've just decided we'll forget the music. I'm just going to take you on the journey and bring you back out. And if anybody wants to share anything afterwards, we can do that. So, okay.
Before you start, let's just welcome people in. So, welcome George, welcome Maria, welcome Tolas, welcome Catherine. Thank you for joining us. If you weren't here at the start, grab yourself a pen and paper to do this exercise. Sarah, it's interesting that you've said about that, because that's also part of the hypnotherapy techniques that we do. And when you do automatic writing on the spiritual level, that's kind of what we do as well. Using yeah. So that's interesting. So if you've never trained in that, that's really proof, that intuitive. It's there already. The learning's there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well done, you.
Literally. I had started to do some channeling work, and that seemed to open that up. So I think, but I do believe anyone can do this if you're in, you've got to get into that state, haven't you, really, of believing you can do it. And then it just...
So type yes if you've got your pen and paper, just so we know that you're all ready.
Yeah.
Type yes, or a thumbs up, or something.
Has everyone got their pen and paper?
I don't know. Can you see the comments, Sarah?
I can if I press this button. Sorry, guys. Hi, everyone. Hi there. Hi.
Nobody's typing yes.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Have you got your pens and papers?
We'll wait for one moment while people grab their pen and paper.
Okay, we've got 3 yeses, 4 yeses, 5 yeses. Everybody's ready.
Right, okay. Okay, so obviously I'd like you to sit comfortably and just gently close your eyes. And I'm going to go with you as well at the same time. And feel your feet on the floor.
I'll just put you on.
And take 3 deep breaths in and out. And then I want you to imagine that from the bottom of your feet are roots growing down, reaching through the floor, through the house, or flat, or wherever you happen to be.
Can you speak up a little bit, please, Sarah?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Roots growing down through the foundations of the house, from your feet going deep into the soil, reaching right down, far, far down into the soil, deep through the layers of the earth, until your roots go all the way to the center of the earth. And the roots wrap themselves around the centre of the earth. And then I want you to imagine that a white light coming down as a stream of gentle white light from the universe starts to make its way down through the universe, through the clouds, through the sky, all the way down to your town or city or village. And it finds your house and it comes in through the roof of your home and enters the top of your head. And the light gently flows, gently and peacefully through into filling your head, filling your mind with white light. It gently fills your throat, your neck, runs down your arms, filling you with white light, and fills your heart. And imagine the grounding energy coming from your feet, up your legs, into your abdomen, and up into your heart. And the grounding energy joins with the white light. Now imagine that around you, the white light fills the space and creates a bubble all around you. And now you're sitting in a ball of white light. Now I want you to imagine that you are getting up from your chair or your bed or wherever you're sitting, and that you go out of your room and you open the door. And when you step out, you're amongst fields, beautiful summer meadows. And as you walk out into the sunshine, you can see beautiful flowers blowing gently in the breeze. And you make your way through the wild flowers, the butterflies and the birds are singing. And you make your way down a path, and you see in the distance a gate. And there is a walled garden, and the gate is the entrance to the garden. And as you approach the gate, you feel in your pocket, and there is a key. And this gate is your gate, and this gate, this garden, is your secret garden. And you take the key, and it fits perfectly in the lock. And as you turn the key, the door opens. You walk in and close the gate tightly behind you, locking it with your key. And you enter into your garden. Have a look around. What is in your garden? What can you see? You wander through the garden and notice all the different elements within it. And in the distance, you see a bench. You make your way towards the bench and you sit down. Have a look around and see what is in your garden. What can you see? Now, whilst you're sitting, you're thinking about your childhood, thinking about the times that you had. And I want you to ask for a part of yourself from your childhood to come and sit with you on the bench. You may be any age. And now a part of you is with you, a part of your past, part of your childhood. And in a minute, you're going to open your eyes and we're going to ask your child or your youth, however old this person, this part of you is, you're going to ask a few questions. Okay, so gently open your eyes. And I want you to take your pen and with your dominant hand, the hand that you normally write with, I want you to ask your child, your youth, a few questions. Okay, so the first question that you're going to write is, what is your favourite colour? When you've written that question, you're going to put your pen in your other hand, the one that you don't use, that's not your dominant hand, and you're going to write the answer. So don't think about it, just let it come into your head. Don't allow your brain to get in the way. Literally allow your hand to write. Okay. Okay, moving on. We're going to ask a second question, which I should have asked first. How old are you? Okay. And we're going to ask a third question. How do you like to spend your time? Okay. I'm now going to ask you, so you're going to ask another question. What is your favourite object or thing, item? And then we're going to ask one last question. What do you like most about your life? Okay. Okay, so we're going to put your pen down now.
Not finished yet, woman.
All right, carry on then. If you haven't finished any of the other questions, go back and answer them. Remember to use your hand that you don't normally write with. Okay. Right, okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to close our eyes again. Put your pen and paper down. We want to go back to the garden that we're sitting in, our garden, our secret garden. And no one can come in this garden apart from you and anyone that you invite in it. And today, with you, is a part of yourself, a part of your childhood, he or she sitting with you, chatting to you about their life. I'd like you to look into the eyes of that part of yourself or your child and sense the feelings that you have between you. Feelings of love, maybe feelings of joy. It could be any feeling. And if you feel like it, reach out, touch or hug or hold the hand of your child. And say thank you. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for speaking with me today. I am here to listen to anything that you want to say. And gently allow your child to drift into you or away. And now you're on your bench in your garden. And before you get up, have one last look around. You see what is in your garden. Now it's time to leave your garden, but you can return at any time to this special place, to your special place. It's time to get up and walk back towards your gate. And take the key from your pocket and open the gate. And as you go out, lock the gate tightly. Nothing can come in without you allowing into your secret garden. And know that at any time you can return here. And now you start to walk back along the grassy path through the beautiful fields of wildflowers. The sun is shining on your face, and the flowers are nodding gently, smiling up at you. Walking along and through the field, you make your way to a door and you open it. Walking through the door, you're back in your room, at home, wherever home may be, and you take a seat back into your body where you are now. Back in your surroundings, your familiar home. Your feet are securely on the ground, and the light that was flowing through your head is just a silver, gentle light flowing down from the universe, but just gently, the light still with you. And I want you now to start to come back into yourself. Start to feel your hands. Start to wiggle your toes. Start to bring the outside world back to you. There may be birds singing in your garden, or it just may be quiet. But waken your senses back into the present. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Okay. So we can discuss any feedback if anybody has any. Really, the idea is just to make that first connection. Of course, you can then go and ask lots of questions. I just wanted to help people really to make that first connection, and you may have already done that in the past. But it is how I have been able to write the stories, and I think the stories really do come from some part of my child. You know, that there is some element of my spirit that is the storyteller. So yeah, so that's just to give you a little exercise that you could do and frequent and do at any time. So, oh, George, you feel emotional? Oh, crying in a good way, I hope. It is emotional to make that connection with your different parts of yourself, you know. We've so forgotten, haven't we? Or we forget sometimes. And you know, every time you go, you meet different parts of yourself at different ages. Sometimes the same part comes back several times. A lot of my healing work has been done through that, as well as the things. But I'm really glad that you had a good experience. Just going to check the chat. So, oh, sorry, because I'm on a phone. It's oh. So obviously we kept a really lovely questions. We're making that connection, but you can also ask about things, you know, that your child would like to say, that might be things that, you know, that have been locked away for a long time. And that is a good way of doing some of the healing work. So yeah, that's my little exercise for today. So the sorts of things I just wanted to say about things like going back into your story, really, which is a lot of the story work that I do. Obviously, we all have our story, but we also have, as small children, as young people, we've created scripts in our mind about a situation at home or how things have affected us, and these scripts are written into us from a young age. And I'm presuming Marie is thinking, oh yeah, hypnotherapy, because you're going into that field of the scripts. And breaking the scripts can be recognizing the scripts that you have is the first step to changing the scripts that you have. But sometimes accessing those scripts are very hard. And this is one way of accessing your script, which is like, I'm thinking, Maria's nodding her head, hypnotherapy. I've never, ever studied hypnotherapy in my life. But also some of those scripts aren't always, they've been programmed. Once, when we're a child, we put them in our head in the wrong way. You know, it doesn't mean that there's not truth in them, but it can have a negative effect on the way that we think. And another thing that I like to do is to think about your favourite book from childhood. Think about who you are in that book and what the storyline is. Because often one of the most favourite books that we have, we've been attracted to for a reason, and that gives us clues as to what role we like to play in this life and the plot that what we're living. For example, my story, one of my favorite stories is Swallows and Amazons. It was a book, to be honest, I just know it was my favorite book, and I didn't even know what the plot was. And as an adult, when I started to think about it, I was thinking, God, I can't even remember what that book is. And then I do remember that it was about an adventure, and it was about a certain character I felt attracted to.
Okay, I'm back.
Can you hear me?
I'm back now, yeah.
Going in and out, Marie.
Yeah, I think my internet's just dodgy. Yeah, I don't know if you remember from group in the UK, Sarah, we did the Secret Garden meditation. Part of our meditation group. And like what Maria Sweeten says there, releasing the inner child is what you've just done there as part of the hypnotherapy. Because, as you know, a lot of my work is to do with the inner child stuff. So it was brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. I just love that you've not had any formal training on that stuff. Yeah. It's come through. And it's interesting to me because I've just had a conversation this morning with somebody about, it doesn't really matter about trading, because if you tap into the universal consciousness, it's all there. All the information is there.
It's all there. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's from meditating. After, you know, I did meditate for many, many years, probably from when I was in my early 20s, and then just arrive. You know, what, like you say, it is there. It's in the universe.
Yeah. It's like that meditation I did last week, you know, with you guys, and it was, you know, when you saw it was all handwritten. It just comes through.
Yeah, it comes through. And it just comes through at the right time as well, you know, when you're ready to receive that. And I think it's the next step for, there seems to be a lot of mindfulness. Mindfulness has become a really big thing
Yeah.
on the planet now. It's almost like the science people have now taken that and said, oh, mindfulness. And I think that's the first step to our development, because on a grander scale, because there's a lot of light workers working and therapists and things, but
Yeah.
every individuals are doing mindfulness, starting to do it's more acceptable than meditation. And I think the
Yeah, the
next,
word, it's the same thing. It's just the wording's changed.
it is, but I think at the moment it's narrow. But people will soon start to discover all these the things that you can do with that, because a
Yeah.
lot of it at the moment is staying present and that sort of thing. And then when you can hold that for long enough, more things start to come, don't they? I
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So really, a lot of the work that I do is around inner child work, I suppose. I just called it story work because I get people to do pictures of their past and to ask questions around their pictures. You know, if people are not find it hard to connect through
Yeah.
meditation, it's trying to use other tools that people can still connect through. And then where they are now in their life, there might be a picture, and then a picture of what they'd like to see in their future, you know, what their future self wants to look like, or their future life.
Yeah.
And we work with those, and we ask a lot of questions around the stories that people have got. So story work really is another way of just dressing up inner child work, but plus, yeah, sort of connecting to that part of your authentic self.
And storytelling, of course, is the oldest form of education.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest, I never could have imagined that I would be working with stories, because as a kid, I was never a writer. I was never good at English, or crap at English, actually. It had nothing, you know, I didn't read loads and loads of books.
No, me
I,
either.
I didn't have anything to do with a lot of that stuff. It was when I started to work with children, I started doing stories actually for children, for birthdays. And then what
Yeah.
happened? We started to get very specific stories for every child.
Yeah.
And then I'd go in and tell the story at the party. And then I started to do the work with the children suffering grief and loss. And then I started telling stories for people like the National Trust, like they had a storytelling event. I'd write a story then. And now
Yeah.
I develop story trails for the National Trust, the Woodland Trust, and people like that. And these tales are stories about the land. They are for children and families, and they walk across the land on a route. And the stories have been basically channeled, I'm presuming. You know,
Yeah.
they are good stories, and they are fictional. They have a message about the land, the history, and the future, but they're all based in children's story format. So yes, so now that's what I do for half of my time. I write the trailers, and yeah.
Hi, Tasha. Welcome. You missed the fun bit. You'll have to rewind it. Um, so it's 20 to now. Is there anything else you wanted to do with us, Sarah, today?
No, I think what I would say is do the exercise where you draw a picture of your childhood, and it could be a drawing, or it could be a collage. It could be either of those. Um, and write over it with your left hand. And then do the same thing for now, you know. And I think just work with those two things, and then do the future picture when you've worked quite extensively with the younger person and yourself now. And just have a go and play with the concept of your story, really. That's all. So,
Does anybody want to share any of the answers they received, and if anything was shocking to them or
yeah.
anything like that? Anybody? They'll show you mine when people are considering it. Mine weren't shocking, but I don't know if you can read it. But
Can't read it. So read it out.
so, what is your favourite colour? This was quite shocking because it's not one of my favourite colours at all. But yellow. It is in flowers and things, but it's not a colour that I wear. So,
Yeah.
how old are you for? How do you like to spend your time with the horses and in the garden with the bees?
Oh.
What I did like 24/7. What is your favourite item? My grey horse, which I've got pictures of it. My toy grey horse. What do you like most about your life? My cat Sooty and my rabbits.
Oh. None of those are surprising, are they, Maria? But you can imagine that the somebody that's never done that before to reconnect. I did some training with some counsellors on it. They were shocked that they could talk to themselves, but obviously you do that all the time.
What was lovely for me is on the way back, because obviously I integrated that child because it was before the abuse and everything else. So it was untainted Maria, and I brought that back. And on the way back out of the garden, I was skipping.
Oh.
So let me tell you, George, because people are putting stuff up. So George says his colour was blue when he was 4. Bless him. Spent time with his dad. His toy car. Tola said some of the answers were like blue, 12, I guess that's his age, ride around in my bike, play, expeditions, sports and bicycle, creative gadgets, freedom of choice.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And George says he liked being with his family most.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know if anybody else wants to put anything up. Thank you for sharing, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. It's really appreciated that you sharing. Yeah. So it's nice, that people have made that connect. They probably have made that connection in the past, but you can just explore deeper, can't you? And it goes on and on, really.
And the thing is, as well, as we get older, we forget what it feels like to look through those innocent eyes.
Yeah.
Because even the colours in the garden seem brighter.
Yeah.
So I like being with my family the most as well, George. My horses and my bees and my cat and my rabbits and my dog. I didn't mention the dog, but I did have a dog as well then.
Yeah. And also just a bit earlier on, I was talking about book, think about your childhood book. What was your favourite childhood book as a child?
Mine, Heidi.
You liked Heidi.
Heidi,
Yeah.
I read it and read it and reread it and reread it.
Yeah. And if you look at the story of Heidi, how do you relate to that story? What does that story tell you about you? So I think that's another thing to look at. You're attracted
That's
to it.
another thing that when I trained in the analytical hypnotherapy. One of the questions on that was, "What's your favourite book?" Straight away, Heidi. And the teacher came round and she looked over my shoulder at what I wrote and she went, "Oh, that was my favourite book too."
Did you become a hypnotherapist? There was the connection point.
Who would guess that going from goats on a mountain would lead to hypnotherapy?
Yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah.
parallels in my life with Heidi were unreal, really, because I was partially brought up by my grandparents in Cyprus who were goat farmers.
Oh wow. Yeah, and there's the child or in the character in the story that you associate with can be different as well. Like my favorite book was Swallows and Amazons, and it was the tomboy that I really felt connected with, and that was the one that was out on the journey. It was going to go out on this
Yeah,
adventure and fight for justice and all this.
yeah,
And that's exactly, I've not changed. That was the,
yeah.
so all these things show us a little bit about ourselves
Well,
and our story.
it's the same with Heidi, isn't it? Looking after the goats and looking after her granddad, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But also it can show us, the parts of us that we we may play a particular role. There may be parts of the role that are in that story that you could change as well.
yeah.
That aren't a positive thing. You may think, oh, actually, I'm too much of that, or and it's balancing. You've
There's
adopted.
too much caregiver. That's what I've been noticing recently. I won't repeat what somebody said the other week when I told you what somebody had said before the meditation,
Mm,
and I thought, cheeky sod, that's what people think. They do these lives for free, and
yeah,
people just take the piss all the time,
yeah,
and
and
I
that's
let it. I let
yeah,
them do it.
yeah, yeah, and I think there's learning about the boundary of
Yeah,
actually, you know, that I used to think that being spiritual meant, oh, you don't have to have that much, it's okay, you live a simple life. But actually, no, you still have to have your needs met. There are,
absolutely.
you can still love and care for people and have
We
boundaries.
are we are of service to people, but we also live in this 3D world, and everything has to have an energy exchange. You can't just keep putting out without receiving back, and everything is energy. So even money is a form of energy. And we can't say to the electric board, "Oh, give me 2 months electric and I'll give you a free Reiki treatment." Doesn't
No,
work like that. We need money to pay the right now at this time. We do need money. So
yeah,
and it's not a bad thing. And as spiritual people, we have this. It's not about the money, and it's not about the money. Just unfortunately, it's necessary right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Until money's not a thing anymore, until we can go back to bartering. um,
So,
but
like I've been doing this abundance course, and I also recognize that money can be, you can have money as long as you raise money in a in a way that it, around good values and ethics, and you
absolutely,
use it positively for humanity, and you need to feed yourself and all those things, but also if you have more of it than you need and you use it in a positive way for humanity, there is absolutely nothing wrong with having money.
no,
But
no,
I think as spiritual people, you can put this attachment to, "Oh, well, I don't really need very much," which you might not, but you still need X amount, and it's
no.
okay. It's
Well,
actually okay.
you don't need to have 5 million in bank, do you? As long as you can pay your bills and live your life, have a holiday once a year, and
Mm.
not
And even
struggle. That's the
if you
thing.
didn't have 5 million in the bank because you inherited it from whoever, or you made it because of some uncanny way, but
Yeah,
it was realistically a good way, you can use that in a positive,
yeah, yeah.
you
Let's
know.
just get some of these questions, Sarah. So George says his book was Robinson Crusoe. I like that. I loved Robinson Crusoe as well.
You've not
uh,
been on an island, I hope.
well, Cyprus is an island, and George is from Cyprus. Makes sense.
And who was your
Uh,
boy? Boy Friday. Was it Boy Friday? Man Friday.
I don't know. Simone says, ha ha, mine was past life stories. As a child. Okay. What was my favourite book, Mum? I've no idea. I've no idea. I used to read all sorts of stuff. I tried getting Tasha to read Heidi, but she wouldn't read it.
So that was her book.
I know as you got older, you were into all the Anne Rice vampire stuff. Natasha. Maria says, people do not value of the exchange. That's why they are so ignorant. It's true.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. You know, to have the, and how people attach value to exchange. You know, what is the intention behind it? You know, people might give you money with a really negative intent, you know, with some conditions attached to it. So all of a sudden, like, you know, that the money has to have a condition attached to it, or, you know, to abundance might have a condition attached to it.
Yeah. George says he just liked the adventure and looking after himself.
Oh.
Now, I know, you know, I've read the book years ago, Robinson Crusoe, a few times, but now I always associate that movie with, what do you call him? Forrest Gump guy.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the film where he had the football? What's it called, Tasha? Tasha will know because she's really good at movie stuff and that. With the football and he painted the face on it.
No, I don't
Have you not seen that film? Oh, you need to watch it. George, if you've not seen it, you need to watch it. It's really good. And he's stranded on an island, basically Robinson Crusoe, and he has this football as a friend. Tom Hanks, yeah, but what's the film called? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Natasha says she thought Anne Rice too, but as a young child. I don't really remember Tasha because she used to read all sorts of stuff, but mainly school stuff, I think. Castaway, that's the one. Wilson, yeah, the ball. Wilson. Yeah, you need to see that film, Castaway, if you've not seen it. It's brilliant.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Make you cry a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is really, it's a really good understanding who you are, the books that you're attracted to, I think.
Yeah.
The child. Yeah.
Has anybody got any questions for Sarah? Got 5 more minutes. And I've got to ask you, Sarah, actually, to give 3 tips for surviving lockdown, even though here in Cyprus we're starting to come out of it now.
Yeah. I mean, for everybody, it's different, isn't it? Because we're all in different situations and scenarios. Some people seem to be really busy because they've got kids at home and they're trying to work. And other people have got loads of time on their hands. And thankfully, I'm one of those people that has loads of time on my hands. So I think it's a really good time to reflect on your life and think about, what you want, because it's brought forward the whole concept of death again, which is a natural thing, of course, but also that we have limited time, and to think about the things that you really value and that you'd like, to do. So I think it's a really good time for developing your creativity. If you're quite a creative thought, I've been doing some artwork, and just drawing, waking up in the morning and drawing and writing, and just indulging in it and saying, actually, this is great. I've got this time,
Absolutely. Indulge that inner child.
Absolutely. Go and spend some time communicating with your inner child and remaking those connections again. And they are going to help you to find out what what's the next thing for you, or just doing more of the same, but whatever it is. So I would say do more connection with your childlike self. Indulge in nature, in this amazing planet that we're on, because now we have time, and it's one of the only other things that we can do, and it's just incredible. I think so many people have made more connections with nature as a result of this.
It's
Or a
been
close.
really nice to see people. Well, I'm not me because I've only been to Larnaca once since lockdown, but other friends in Larnaca have been posting how wonderful it is to see so many people out walking the dogs and jogging and exercising with the kids, where people work 3 jobs out here in Cyprus because it's so expensive to live. So they don't have time to do any of that. So
No.
it's good.
And just keep communicating, obviously, with friends like this, and just so that you can keep. Yeah, it just shows how important community is, and I think that's enough. I think it's just showing us lots of lost things, really, which
Yeah.
it's time to find them.
Connections are important right now, I think. Even if it's just once a week, just connecting with like-minded souls, family, friends, whatever.
Yeah, because there's a panic around it, really, and I think actually, in reality, it is a time for our own development, to get closer to ourselves again and value the slower pace. And I'm hoping that it just carries on, not the virus or anything, but this slower pace.
The
I
slower
mean,
pace.
positive things come out of it, that
Yeah.
that there will be a reevaluation of how we're living. So
I mean, obviously, we still need to earn some money from somewhere. So, just like we were saying before, we've still got bills to pay and rent to pay, and so that has to be integrated. But I think online is the way forward for people rather than going out to crappy jobs that they really don't like, and that what's that old saying about you work to live, not live to work.
yeah. I think there'll be a lot of reevaluation. Like I've been doing some work for Canal River Trust, and they are they now they've now sort of saying that they have been saying for quite a long time that they're a wellbeing charity by the river and canals, and I've been talking to them about what's been going on, and they're very convinced that more people at the Canal River Trust will work from home. Not all the time, but there'll be more options for home work.
Yeah.
Instead of just driving everywhere to go and meet people that you don't really, I mean, that's fine. You do need that connection, but you don't need it every single day of the week.
No. I think the only possible downfall, because everything's got a negative and a positive with
Yeah.
online work, is if you have to still work 10, 12 hours a day to earn
Oh,
the amount of money that you need to survive on, then that's going to make it really isolating for people.
it
Because
is.
say you know, you're not doing online meditations and things like that to earn money, and you're doing office work from home. So all you're doing is you're staring at an Excel sheet all day.
All
For
day.
example, I think that would be really worse, because obviously you're going to have no interaction at all then. So
No, I think it has to be a balance. It's like everything, everything needs to be in balance, isn't it? You may
absolutely,
days like that, but then you may spend 3 days going into your office.
yeah,
I think, I've worked from home for a very long time, but to go into places and spend a day or two in places, maybe 3 days a week. And I think it's really healthy, because the
yeah,
days you're actually at home, you can get quite a lot done, and you can
yeah.
also potter about a bit in your time off and not rush everywhere. So,
The thing is, we're not meant to work ourselves into the ground, are we? You know, so it's only the cost of living that forces us to do that.
Mm.
So I think, you know, if we can find other ways like sustainability, like growing your own food, for an example, making your own medicines like herbal medicines, and
Yeah.
you know, recycling things so you're not constantly having to buy things, and you know, think just small changes make big differences.
Yeah, they
So
do. Massive. Yeah,
yeah,
I've just been doing the vegetable garden and stuff, and it's just really nice to see people. Actually, the seeds have all disappeared off the shelves in the UK. You can't buy any seeds or
that's
anything,
good. That's
which is
good.
news. And
Yeah.
and you can't get any chickens either. I got a couple of chickens the other day, not live ones, not dead ones. And I've always had chickens, but I went to try and get more chickens, and you know, they'd sold out of live chickens. I can't. That's never happened. You know, normally you can't I normally get them from the battery welfare place. Um, so people are all of a sudden they're doing all these things that they haven't done. This is what we've been doing for years, trying to tell
Yeah.
everyone, teaching, outdoor, connecting outdoors, food gardens, and all of a sudden they're doing it. So let's hope that it continues after. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and community gardens, food gardens, and things, because I do a lot of that work developing those. And you know, people, not everyone has a garden. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you need to be able to go somewhere where they
Well,
can do.
I was really blessed, as you know, in the UK to be part of the initiative of the Leeds when we did the orchard, and I helped plant the orchard, and I used to caretake it. You know, it was really honoured to be part of that. To be honest, it felt like he was really putting something positive back into the world. So, and I went to visit it when I went back to the UK for my daughter's wedding. See my apple trees and my pear trees. But it, you know, that's what we need more. I mean, over here, there's trees all along the roadsides, just dropping fruit all on the floor. Nobody wants to eat it though, because it's next to the road and it's getting all the toxins out of the cars and stuff. So, but they are. We do have. Tasha says, "Have you frozen up, Sarah?" I think Sarah's frozen. Don't think it will carry on once work starts again. We will slip back into old habits. I know, Tasha, I think that'll happen as well, especially over here. But don't know where Sarah is. I think she's got frozen. You might have to go in and out, Sarah, if you can hear me like I did. If anybody's got any questions to ask Sarah before we close up, then just put them in comments, and I'm sure when she gets back on, she can answer any questions. Thank you all for joining us. I think we've lost somebody. Simone, are you there? I think Simone's gone. Just give her a minute, see if she comes back on. Yeah, so if anybody's got any questions, just put them below. Tell us, are you there? Tell us. Catherine. Let's go back to if I missed any comments. Thanks for today. You're welcome, George. Hey, Simone, you're still there. To Tolas, I think it's up to us really. Some shops have the possibility of merging together, so less workload for them too than demonstrations will show. Yeah, that's a good point, that Tolas. That's a really good point, and I think collaboration is the way forward. not just in shops, I think in everything, you know. I mean, like this is a collaboration with other therapists and people, and I think collaboration, you know, we need to learn to not be so what's the word? Not so precious over us stuff, you know. I mean, I've been trying to organise collaborations with people for years from before I came to Cyprus, and what I found in the spiritual world, and I'm sure it'll be the same in other forms of business, is that people don't want to share the stuff because they're too scared that someone else is going to take their stuff and run with it. And I've had that happen to me loads of times personally, but I'm still up for collaboration because at the end of the day, you know, what we have, whether it's a clothing business or a spiritual business, it's not just for us, it's for everybody. You're not going to have a clothes store and just keep all the clothes for yourself. So that's just my thoughts anyway, Tolas. But I don't know if she's coming back. Let me just go on to Facebook and see if I can find her. She might have crashed out. She might be struggling to get back online. No, she's not on Facebook. Alright, but she's trying to get back on. Okay, so I don't know if I should close up or wait for her to come back. What do you all think? It's really strange just seeing comments and not hearing anybody. It's like when we do the groups, everyone can speak to each other. The online groups. So anyway, while they're doing, I'm going to do a bit of promo. On Wednesday, I'm doing our beat anxiety through tapping. I know, Tasha, you don't like it. And there's only 6 people allowed on, so and I've done it as a donation-based thing. So if you want to join us, then go over to my page on Barefoot Holistics on Facebook, and you'll see the event there and the information to book your slot to do some EFT. Okay, Simon, I'll wait. So that's on Wednesday night, 6:30 Cyprus time, 4:30 UK time. Enjoy that, Tasha. Sounds like fun. And on Friday, we've got a special treat because my friend, I can't pronounce her name, Sodira. Love to you too, Tasha Mo. Speak soon, darling. I will do, thank you. Tick-tapping. On Friday, next Friday at 2 p.m, 12 p.m. UK time, my friend Sodira was coming on, and she's a singer in Cyprus, and she's got a lovely voice, and she's going to come on and talk about music and music therapy and how music helps her through her life, and hopefully it helps other people as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Being a big music fan. So if anybody would like to do any sort of arty stuff, whether it be playing an instrument or crafting or painting or whatever, and you'd like to do a live with me, then get in touch, because we're going to be doing that on Fridays. Tasha was going to do one, but I think she's bottled out a bit, which is fine. So if anybody else wants to do one, that's fine. So make a note in your diaries. Wednesday evening, EFT. Next Friday is Sodira and her guitar and her wonderful voice. Right, guys. Well, I think we're going to have to close it off because it doesn't look like she's coming back. Just go back to Facebook one last time, see if she's gone on there. My phone might have died or something silly. No, she's not on there. I don't know where she is. Okay. So thank you everybody for coming on. Big love to everybody. Love you loads. Please share the video around, like it, subscribe if you've not subscribed already. Leave a comment if you want to leave a comment. If you want to get in touch with Sarah about any of the other stuff that she was talking about, the art, story of your art, whatever she called it, doing your story in artwork or anything else, then you should find a link on the video on YouTube. So thank you everybody. Namaste. Big love to you all. See you next time. Bye bye.